So I'll be using terms like, cisgender and stuff to convey my point, even though I don't agree with it. So what you need to be to compete in women's sports is a woman, right? So when you're saying that transgender women are women, you're saying that they belong in women's sports, because they're just another type of woman, right? So why should only cisgender women be allowed to compete in women's sports, right? So I remember Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about transgender women in women's sports, right? And what would the solution be? Well, you can't kick out, transgender women, right, from women's sports because they're women now, right? So what you would end up doing is you create like a cisgender, you know, place like exclusively for cisgender women, which is what the politically correct term is, right? Because the cisgender women can't compete with the transgender women. So that's what would end up happening. And that's like the only like thing I could come up with, that kind of fits with like trying to make it fair but still like politically correct, right? Because if you made a transgender separate division, it'd be like, for trans women, right? You're saying that transgender women are not women because they aren't allowed to compete, in the section specifically for women. So the only, solution you could have, which I still think is silly, is that you have something for cisgender women because they can't compete with the trans women. And then, women's sports is just, it's all dominated by trans women. So, yeah, so when you're saying, transgender women are women, you're also saying we need to put them in the same category. Like, that's what it's about, right? So you're saying there's two types of women, right? So, like, womanhood is, like, more umbrella. Like, there's multiple forms of it, right? Which I don't think is true. But that's what you're saying, right? So you can't be saying trans women are women, but then they're not allowed to compete in women's sports, right? I hope that makes sense to whoever sees this.